want you to welcome Leann as she comes and speak on planning. Can you please give her a round of applause? Can you please give it to her again?
Good morning. Are you excited to be here this morning?
Yes.
Only the front line is excited. I'm excited to be here. I'm going to just take this opportunity to thank Noble Leaders. It's really a pleasure and an honor to be part of this organization that's really doing a tremendous work that is pushing the development and building of lives. It's something that I'm passionate about. So I'm excited to be here today. As you've heard, today I'm going to be touching on personal planning that brings results. What would you do, or what would you attempt to do if you knew that you would not fail? What would you attempt to do if you knew that you would not fail? In the video, you saw many things, people doing surfing, people riding a bike on a mountaintop. Would you do that if you knew that you were not going to fail? What would you do? What would you attempt? What would become impossible for you if you knew that you were not going to fail? What decisions would you make for your life if you knew you did this, you were not going to fail? Would you take the job? Would you go to another country? Would you buy the car? Would you start a business? What is it that stops you from doing those things now? That if you had to tell yourself that if you do this, you will not fail, that it will not limit you, it will not stop you, that you will go ahead, that you will take it, that you will make the investment in yourself, that you will make the investment, you will start the business, you will grow yourself, you will do the things that you think are impossible, you will ride a bike on a mountaintop if you knew that you would not fail. Ask yourself that question. What are the things that you would do? We ask if this kind of question, the reason why many of us don't do the things that seem impossible to us is because we think that we will fail. And when we think that we will fail, the common cause of failure is quitting. We quit. We never attempt it. We never attempt to start the business. We never attempt to get into the marketplace. We never attempt to buy the car. We never attempt to do big things with our lives because we think we're going to fail. And if you want to lead in the marketplace and make an impact, then you have to stop second-guessing yourself and start believing in yourself. Start believing in the potential that you have. Start believing that you can do it. That you can do it. Do you believe that? Only front row again. Guys, do you believe it? Do you believe that there is nothing? If you had to picture your life and picture it to be amazing, that the things that you see for your own life are things that you can step into, are things that you can achieve, are things that are possible because it is possible. You got to believe that. Are you willing to, what kind of life do you want to live? Success is a choice. It's a decision only that you can make for yourself. First, you got to make the choice to succeed. And after you've made that choice, then you got to make the commitment to bring that success into fulfillment. You cannot conquer what you are not committed to. Let me say that again. You cannot conquer what you are not committed to. If there are big plans that you have for your life, big goals that you want to achieve for your life, but there's no commitment on your part to make those things happen for your life, then you're never going to conquer it. You're never going to achieve the big things that you want for your life. Are you willing to commit to do what it takes to go where you want to go? There can be no success without commitment. Commitment is the only difference between those who are successful and those who are not. There's absolutely nothing that sets you apart from the man who's earning R1 million today and you who are striving to get your first job. The only difference is that he has been committed to get to where he is. And you, the only thing that's going to take you to get to where he is or to where you want to be is your commitment to that. Your commitment to your dream, your commitment to the things that you believe you want for your life. What are you doing to achieve it? What sacrifices are you making to get yourself to where you want to go? All of these things, a practical expression of commitment is planning. If you do not know the things that you want to achieve for your life, if you do not know the destination that you want to have, if you cannot see the amazing life that you have pictured for yourself, then how can you plan for it? How can you put the steps together to make a commitment to it? So planning is a secondary thing. The first thing is to see it. To see the goal, to see the vision, to see the things that you want to have and achieve for your life. The things that you know that you will not fail if you have to attempt it. I know that you here that are seated, Know that there's greatness on the inside of you, or else you would have not been here today. You are in the right place. You know, you could have chosen to be anywhere else today. There is the winter fair that's happening on the grounds. There's many things. It's a Saturday. You could have chosen to be anywhere else, but you've chosen to come here today to make an investment in your life. And I tell you that you are in the right place today because the things that you will hear are going to help you to become the best version of yourself. What does your amazing life look like? Are you willing to change your life so that you can get to where you want to go? So the first things that I think before we get into the practicalities of actually putting a plan together, there's certain attitudes that is needed or that is required that forms part of your personal development that I think that if you can get this right, then putting the plan becomes easy. So there's a few things that I want to just touch on before we get into the actual planning of it. Okay, so we're going to look at some attitudes that are needed for personal development. It is said that knowing others is intelligence. Knowing yourself is true wisdom. Mastering others is strength. Mastering yourself is true power. When you have mastered yourself, you become unstoppable. The best investment you can make is to make it in yourself. Personal development is the belief that you are worth the effort, the time, the energy that is needed to develop yourself. And I'm glad that you are here today because you are making a statement even to yourself that you believe that you are worth this. You believe that you are worth the effort and the time and the energy and the things that you will receive here even today, that you are worth that because your life is more than just what you see before you. Okay? So personal development is the belief that you are worth the time, the effort, the energy that is needed to develop yourself. When we become phenomenal by mastering the basics. We become phenomenal by mastering the basics. Now let me just say at the very forefront, I'm no expert. I have not arrived, I have not achieved, I have not drawn the best of plans. But the things that I will speak to you today are things that I've learned myself, and things that I've put into practice and I've seen the results. So what I'm sharing with you today is things that I use for my own life and things that I know work. But I'm no expert in it. But what I know is that when you can get the small things right and do the little things well, then you become the phenomenal person that you see yourself as being. That you are able to achieve phenomenal things, that nothing becomes unstoppable for you. Now some of the attitudes that you need to have when you are preparing to be an impact even in the marketplace, preparing to be a leader, because a leader is not just one that is at the forefront, but a person leads not just by their titles or their money or their jobs, but they lead by being the person that they are. So you lead by who you are, not just what you do. So it's important to have these principles or these attitudes in place. The first one is that you must be willing to put yourself outside of your comfort zone. You must be willing to go out of your shell. You got to be willing to try new things. If you focus on results, you will never change. If all you can see for yourself is just wanting that, wanting to achieve that, wanting to get the nice job and the nice car and the nice money and the nice business and all of that, if you are results driven, you are never going to change. But if you focus on change, if you focus on what it's going to take you, changing yourself, changing your habits, changing your thinking, changing your life, then you are going to get the results. Okay, so you've got to be able to try new things. You've got to be able to come out of your comfort zone. If you've never tried something before, you cannot let that be a limitation. You've got to be able to say, let me do this. And like I said, you become phenomenal when you master the basics. So it starts with the little things. Little things as even if you've never, ate sushi, try it. Because you break a limitation in your head. If you think of it as all just being, raw fish, and you're never going to taste it, and you're never going to do it. I was like that at one stage until I tasted it, and now I love it. But you break a limitation in your head, in your mind, that when you begin to try new things and step out of your comfort box, out of your comfort zone, that you begin to see that there's more to life, there's more to your capacity, there's more to your capabilities. So that is the attitude that you must have. You must be able to come out of your comfort zone. The next attitude that you must have is that you must know that the only person that you should be comparing yourself is the person that you were yesterday. Your competition in the marketplace is not the person that is working in the office next to you, but it is the person that you were yesterday. And your attitude must always be that my focus must not be on what the other person is doing, but my focus must be on what am I changing about myself today? How am I better today than I was yesterday? What is happening in me? How am I growing? How am I developing? How am I getting better? If you are not getting better, then you should not be concerned about anybody else and what they are doing. But your concern should be on who you are, what you are doing, how are you developing, how are you getting better. That should be your competition. Your competition is the person that you were yesterday. If you are not progressing and developing yourself and becoming better, then don't look to being a leader in the marketplace, because it's never going to happen. The next thing, just because it's hard does not mean it's impossible. How many of you here have done hard things, or are facing hard things, or the things that you are busy with in your life at the moment is hard, but you're still doing it, am I right? Why? Because it's not impossible. Hard things are not impossible, they're just hard. It's just going to take time, it's going to take effort, it's going to take new strategy, it's going to take new thinking. But the things that are before us that are hard are not impossible. You heard that we have a CA in our, I've heard his story, a CA in our midst. I've heard his challenges, I've been through that myself. But just because it's hard does not make it impossible. Just because your circumstances tell you that you do not have enough, you do not have the money to study, you do not have the money to go here and do this, that your circumstances tell you that there is a lack, that does not mean that your circumstances dictate to your potential. It does not. Because what's on the inside of you, there's more, there's greater, you are able to do that. If you want to lead in the marketplace, you have to. You have to get to be the one that pioneers possibility. If you want to lead wherever you are, not just in the marketplace actually, but wherever you are, whether it is among your circle of influence, your friends, your family, your workplace, if you want to lead in those areas, you've got to be one that pioneers possibility, which means that you've got to be the one that demonstrates to others that it can be done, that it's not impossible. Okay, that even the hard things, they've broken down. It's like, how do you eat an elephant? It's hard to eat it in one bite, am I right? But if you cut it up, chop it up, eat it bit by bit, it's possible to have eaten an elephant. So hard things are not impossible, and that's the mindset that you must have. Even when it comes to planning and planning for your goals, planning for your life, that even the things that seem hard are not impossible. You just got to plan. Then the next one is be selective about your life structures. Be selective about your life structures. Life structures are the people that surround your life, that speak to your life, that add value to your life, that are actually helping you to build, to grow, to develop, that are actually cheering on your success, are the ones that are there, just assisting you to get to where you want to go. They are the ones that speak positive things to you. They are the ones that are adding a dimension of life to your life. These are life structures. These are people that we should not take for granted in our lives. Are you surrounded by the right people? Are you being influenced by the right people? For example, if your goal is to lose weight, which many of us have that goal, is to lose weight, you cannot be hanging around people who are hooked on junk food, who have unhealthy eating habits. It's just not going to be possible for you then to achieve your goal. It's not going to be possible no matter how much you want it. Why? Because the people that you are surrounded with are the people that are going to shape and mold who you are. So your life structures are important. You need to be spending time with those who have the same goal as you. And if not just the same goal, but also those who have achieved the goals that you want to achieve. Those are the people that you should have in your circles. Those are the people that you should be bouncing off your life with. Because those are the ones that are going to help you get to the amazing life that you see for yourself. The next one. You can only get better through action. Create your own opportunities. You can only get better through action, which means that sitting here and listening to all the things that you will hear today is not going to help you unless you do something about it. Unless you make a decision for your life, unless you take what you're receiving here today and go back and change something and do something. Whether it is from, if you hear, whatever you hear today, that you go out and apply for a job that you thought was impossible for yourself. That is taking an action. But hearing what you were hearing today and just sitting and hoping and wishing that yes, the job will just come without you having sent an application is just foolishness. So you cannot do that. But you get better through action. Success is not just going to happen, you have to create your own opportunities. In this day and age, nobody's coming to tell you there is a job, apply for it. You got to be the one that's looking, reading the papers, going to places, finding out, sending your CVs wherever you have to, applying for the jobs. It is you that's going to put in the effort. You got to create your own opportunities. You cannot be waiting for the person next to you to help you or to create it for you. The next one, be accountable and teachable. You have not arrived yet. Be accountable and teachable because you have not arrived. Okay, there's always more to learn, always more to change, always more to become. So because there's always more, you're always got to be changing. You're always got to be open to be learning new things, to be taught. That you must not think that you have it or that you've reached and you've arrived. But know that there's someone else that can tell you or teach you a different thing. You've been doing the things that you've been doing so long, your own way, and how you want it. And all it's done for you, it's got for you this far. But it's not where you want to be. You got to know that you got to be teachable and go on. Okay, the next one. These are the attitudes, right? Change is growth. Old doors don't open new ways, which means that you cannot be doing things in the same way. Like I said, the things that you have been doing in all of this time has only got you to a certain place. Okay, you cannot do the same things and expect different results. You gotta, if you want to go further, then you gotta be doing different things. You gotta be moving. You gotta be willing to change even out there. That if this has been the way that you've thought all this time, but if it's not doing or getting you the results that you want to get, then you are the one that's gonna make the change. You are the one that's going to do things differently. And the last attitude that you need to have is that you must know that the best version of yourself is yet to be unlocked. You got to know that for yourself, that the best of you is yet to come, that the best that you can be is still being developed and it's still going to come out. Okay, you must always see yourself as being better at your skill, at your ability, at your understanding. There must never come a place in your life where you settle. Settle with what you have, settle with what you are, settle with just what you know. But you must know that there's more. Don't settle for mediocrity, because mediocrity is a killer of dreams, visions and goals. So don't settle in that place, but begin to lift up the vision of your life, like even the video that you saw. That if you had to close your eyes and picture an amazing life for yourself, what do you see? And know that the things that you see are achievable. Okay, so if you have this kind of attitude, then it becomes easy to put down things like a plan. And some of the things that you got to plan for your life, or the things that I've done that have helped, is you don't have to take or start big. But you got to at least start with the little things. And you can start with, I have top 5, but you can start with top 3 even if you want to. Top 5 priorities of your life, top 5 goals that you want to achieve for your life. Where do you see yourself in 5, 10, 20 years from now? How are you going to get there? What are the steps you need to take that you need to take in order to get there? Whether it is registering for a course, dealing with your insecurities, fighting off your limitations. What is it that you need to do to get to this place? Personal planning must become a holistic approach. Okay, if you can see this picture, it's got you in the middle, and it's got different aspects of your life, whether it's got to do with your relationships, your thinking, your spiritual life. It has to be an holistic approach. So when you're planning your life, you don't just plan one aspect. For example, if it is that you want to be in the marketplace and find a job, you don't just look at your career and plan that part of your life, because just that aspect of your life doesn't make you who you are. But there's so many different aspects, whether it is like all of these things. You must understand that developing every aspect of your life must be a self-analysis that must be honest and that must be real. Okay. So if you're looking at these aspects of your life, whether it's your spiritual life, what does this mean for you? How dependent are you on God and the workings of Him in your life? Your thinking patterns, what drives your perceptions, your modus operandi, your values, your actions. You know, it is said that what a man thinks is what he is. So what are you thinking about yourself? Are you thinking negative things? Do you look at your life circumstances and just see the negatives and think that because of those things that this is all that you will be? But what are the things that you are thinking? Because the things that you think are the things that you will become. Your emotions, what is the state of your emotions and how are you going to work on the negatives? Your character, it has to do with who you are, what kind of person you are, how you would describe yourself. If someone had to ask you, describe yourself in 5 words, what would be the 5 words that you would pick to describe yourself? It's got to do with your intellect, your abilities, your skills, your acumen, your intelligence. We all have unique abilities, talents, and skills. How are you going to harness all of these things to grow, to expand, to sharpen yourself? Your relationships, like I said earlier on, life structures are important, and these have to do with relationships. Your relationships, so what are the important relationships in your life? How are they contributing to getting you where you want to be? What are the strengths of your relationships? Your career, your vocation, your sphere of influence, your place where you can have an impact, where you can contribute your skill and make a difference. Your finances, what is your financial state? How are you going to increase it? How are you going to create a second stream of income? Get yourself out of debt, save for the future. These are all the things that you need to plan for. It's not just one aspect of your life, but it's all of these things. All of these things need a specific plan for your life so that you can achieve those things. Every aspect of your life, if you have to look at your own life, what are the things, what are your 5 priorities? On the basis of those, you've got to set a plan, a goal for each thing that you want to achieve, okay? Analyze your strengths and your weaknesses, and thereafter you plan your steps to improve them. To move from good to great. That must be the idea of your plan. Your plan must be so that you are moving from a place of just where you are, of being good, and moving to a place called better or greater. Okay? Self-analysis is critical if you want to bring about change. It is said that it is only a changed life that can change lives. So if you are expecting to be a leader, whether it is any kind of leader, whether it is in the workplace, whether it is in your community, whether it is politically, whether you see yourself as being the next president, whatever the case may be, that if you want to be a leader, you got to know that it starts with you. It starts with you changing your life first. Okay, we're going to look at some practicalities now in terms of developing a plan and what that's got to do for yourself. There's a famous quote by Abraham Lincoln, and he says that if you give, and this is what he said, if you give 6 hours, give me 6 hours to chop a tree, I will spend the first 4 hours sharpening the axe. What does that mean? That it means that you got to take time to plan. You got to take time to do what is priority. And if you do that, then actually executing the task becomes easier. Okay, you got to prioritize the plan. Sometimes I know with a lot of young people that they don't like to take the time to actually sit and think, to sit and plan, to actually sit and write something down for their lives. They just like to have an idea and think that it's going to work and run with it. But it doesn't work like that, okay? You got to know that you have to come to a place where you don't work hard anymore, but you work smart. And to work smart means that you got to plan. You got to put things down. You got to write things down. You got to schedule it so that you can keep yourself accountable for it. Okay, even the most difficult things become doable and achievable with the right planning. Okay, if you talk about something, if you talk about your goal and the things that you want to achieve, it's just a dream. When you envision it, it becomes a possibility. But when you plan it and when you schedule it and when you write it down, that's when it becomes real. And I just want to share this. You know, I came across this factual incident of what had happened, and it's got to do with planning. And it says here that in 1979, interviewers went or asked the Harvard MBA program students how many of them set goals. And they found that 85% of the program set no goals. So here you have students on an MBA level program, and that 84% of them have no goals for their life. 13% of them set goals that they weren't committed on paper to, which means that they had goals for their lives. They knew what they wanted to do and they knew where they wanted to go, but none of them from this 13% actually took the time to write it down, that this is my goal, this is what I want to achieve, this is where I want to go. They just had it in their head. And only 3% actually set goals that were committed on paper and had a plan to accomplish it. Then 10 years later, in 1989, they interviewed the same group of individuals. And the results were absolutely staggering. They found that those 13% who had the goal set in their minds, but who had not taken the time to actually write it down on paper, were making twice as much money as the 84% who had never set a goal for their life, who never had a goal. But what was even more staggering than this was that the 3% who had committed goals written on paper and had put plans together to achieve it had actually been making more money than the 97% of the people put together. So here was 3% of the Harvard MBA program who were earning more money than the 97% of them put together. just because they were the ones that had a plan or had a goal for their lives that they put a plan together to achieve. So you see that putting things down on paper must not be taken for granted. Okay, so today I want to share with you the crux of what I actually want to share is this. It's something that I've been taught for my own life. It's something that I've put in practice for my own life. It's something that I do at the beginning of, or rather at the end of every year, so that it can be implemented in the following year. So for example, I would sit down in around November, December of every year, and I would put a plan together for my life of the things that I want to achieve in the upcoming year. And together with that, I would put the action steps, the things of the how I'm going to do it and what I'm going to do to achieve it. And I want to just speak to you about those kind of things. If you can see on this template, it's got a table. And what it basically is your personal plan for your own life. And in the columns, in the first column, it's speaking about your goals and the plans that you have to upgrade yourself. So it's got to do with the what you want to do in that specific area of your life. If you see that I have it as priority 1. Because like I said, you can have 3 priorities, you can have 5, I have 5, top 5 priorities of my life, things that govern who I am, things that govern my actions and what I do. And on the basis of those things, for priority 1, whatever it is, under that priority, I have specific goals for how I'm going to better myself in that area of my life. Okay, so for example, in terms of the setting of the goals and the plans, you've got to ask yourself, what is your goal? What is your goal? And your goals have got to be specific. You've got to ask yourself, is it specific enough? And the reason why I ask this is because many of us can write a goal. It's easy to put a goal down. For example, your goal is to get fit. That's a goal, am I right? Is that an easy goal to write down? It's easy to think of that you want to do that. I want to get fit. But you've got to be specific about your goal. And you've got to ask yourself, when you say that, are you saying that you want to be as fit as a model? Are you saying that you want to be fit as an athlete? How do you find fitness? How do you find being fit enough? Is it that your goal is that you just want to be fit enough to be able to walk up a flight of stairs? Or are you want to be fit enough to just, walk to work, for example? Becoming specific about your goals and what you want to achieve means that you will be more likely to understand how much planning is involved. If you know, for example, that you want to be as fit as an athlete, then does that mean that you can just exercise for 10 minutes a day? Are you going to get to that place? No, but if you know that you want to be as fit as an athlete, then it helps you to define the plan that you're going to set for yourself to get there. So whether it means that you're going to now be exercising for 1 hour a day in the morning and an hour in the night, you know that you've got to set that plan because your fitness has to do with not just walking up a flight of stairs, but it's to become as fit as an athlete. So how specific you are about your goals will determine the planning that is involved. It will assist you to understand the time frame and the resources that are going to be needed in order to make that goal achievable. Okay, so you got to try to be as specific as possible. A goal without a plan is just a wish, and many of us have many wishes here. How many of you have a goal that you've not written a plan down for? Be honest. So that's actually not a goal, it's just a wish. And let's be real, wishes don't come true. That's only in fairy tales, really, and we're not living in a fairy tale. But if you put something down, if there's something that you want to achieve for your life, you've got to be specific about it. You got to, for example, if you're saying that you want to lose, you want to lose weight, be specific. I want to lose 10 kilos in 6 months. And if you are specific about that goal, then you will know what you can eat and what you can't eat and what you need to do in exercise and how much of time you need to put into that so that at the end of the 6 months, you've lost your 10 kilos. Not that you've just lost 1 kilo. Because you just had, okay, you're satisfied, it's 1 kilo that you lost, your goal was to lose weight. Is that going to make you feel any good after 6 months and you get on the scale and it's only 1 kilo? Like, gosh, you should have just eaten the cake. Okay, so you got to be specific, right? And it said that setting goals is the first step to turning the invisible into the visible. And therefore, you really need to write down your goals. Writing your goals down makes them a focus point in making sure everything you are doing in life becomes in line with those areas. When you have written your goal down, then everything else about your life must align to that. Like I said, if you want to be as fit as an athlete, then it means that it's going to take the sacrifice of you waking up a little earlier to exercise, or to do that, or to eat right, and all of those things. So everything else about yourself must come into alignment to those goals. We have to make sure that what we want, what we are thinking about, what you say and what you do are all in line. That's how you create a balance and a harmony in your life to achieve your goals, okay? So your goals have got to be determined on the basis of where you want to see yourself in the future. Okay, so you set goals for yourself in terms of that. Then the second part of this column has to do with the action steps, which speaks about how am I going to achieve these goals. So if you've had a set goal, for example, to become fit, what are you going to be doing to get there? What are you doing to assist you to do that? When you look at these kind of things, you got to see or ask yourself, is the goals that you set in the first column, are they realistic or not? Are they achievable? Are they too grand? And if you look at that, sometimes if you just put on a goal, sometimes it can seem like that. But if you can think strategically and think in a way that you plan your action steps, even the things that seem impossible in the first column will become possible. Okay, now I'm a believer in defining your destiny and reaching and accomplishing your goals. But there was also a famous quote by a famous man, Bill Gates. And he had said this fantastic piece of wisdom that really speaks, I think, to us without even us noticing that we do this. But this is what he said. He said that people overestimate what they can do in 1 year and underestimate what they can do in 10 years. Now what that means is that sometimes we plan too much. We overestimate the things that we can do in a year. And because we don't achieve those things, even though we had the expectation that we are going to achieve them, come at the end of the year, because we have not achieved all of these things, we lose hope in our ability to achieve our dreams. But yet, if you had planned those same things over a 10-year period and tried and accomplished one thing at a time, then you'll see after a time period you have done more and have become more and have achieved more than you could have ever done if you didn't do those plans. Okay, so it's important. We must always feel that we can make bigger change. We always feel that we can make bigger changes quickly by impulsively acting rather than building blocks that will become great foundations in the future. So what you need to do, even in this year, is actually try and find digestible blocks of works, little pieces of action that will help you to effectively bring about change in the small areas of your life. So like we said, if you want to eat an elephant, you do it bite by bite. And you've got to find that even for your goals in your life, that if that is the case, that you want to achieve this big goal, that you want to lose, some of us have done that. We've got people in this place who have lost tremendous amounts of weight because of sheer dedication and commitment and planning. And they've done that only because those things were in place. And if we do that, then you will see that the things that you want to achieve for your life, whether it is leading in the marketplace, becoming a CA, becoming someone that's influential in your community, those things, if you work on the small parts, become easier. Okay, so when you add all of these little blocks together, that's when you begin to build together, you begin to gain momentum, and you will affect things in the future for you as well. Okay, action steps must be realistic and achievable, and it requires commitment and sacrifices in order to achieve it. How many of you know sometimes making those changes of not eating, how many of you have a sweet tooth? Of not eating the cake is hard, but you got to do it if you want to achieve what you want to achieve. Okay, so sometimes your action steps will be hard. Sometimes it's hard to put those things, but if it's before you all the time, it's a reminder of what you are capable of doing, because it is possible for you to not eat the cake. It really is. But don't worry, you don't have to test that when we have a tea break. Please have the cake. Okay, then the next block, very quickly, it's got to do with asking yourself this question. Are you aware of the little milestones that you reach to incentivize yourself daily in terms of your goals? You need to feel inspired by your goals every day, and if you're feeling that your goal is too far away or not a tangible outcome or too distant to be achieved, then you need to bring it closer to you. You need to bring your dreams and your vision and your life closer to you, your goals. You need to be noticing and observing that small things, the small changes that you make are the things that you should be grateful for. That, for example, if it took you 1 week, in this 1 week, you didn't eat any cake at all. By the end of the week, by all means, please give yourself a tap on the back and achieve and acknowledge that accomplishment that you've made, because that will only encourage you to continue to do it until you've reached your goal weight that you want to reach. Okay, so you got to be able to do that. And what assists you? What assists you to be able to do that is to set deadlines for every action that you want to do. It's said that man's greatest possession is time. But we waste time because we don't have deadlines. If there's no deadlines, then there will be no movement. So what it basically means is that for every plan, for every goal that you have, and for every action step that you have to achieve those goals, you've got to put a deadline for yourself. For example, you're losing the weight again as an example. If you said that you want to lose weight and your goal is to lose 20 kilos, but you've never put a deadline to that, how many of you know it's going to take you 20 years to lose that 20 kilos? Because you will just not know that there's a time frame to stop. There's a deadline for when your goal is to be achieved. And if you don't do that, then you leave things open-ended and you never work towards it. But if you've put a deadline and there's something that's motivating you to say that, right, in 6 months, I'm going to lose 10 kilos, then come the end of 6 months, you're going to be monitoring yourself. And if you have not lost the 10 kilos, then you're going to start making more changes to help you get there. And if you have lost it, then it motivates you again to take the next 6 months to lose the other 10. And by the year, you've lost 20, only because you put a deadline to it. So deadlines are very, very important. So this is a practical aspect of putting a plan together for your life. The first thing you need to know is you need to know what your goals are. The second thing you need to do is you need to put an action step. Like I said, even if it is that you want to become fit, your action step would be to wake up early and train for 1 hour. That is an action step. Or the deadline and the time frame to, I don't know how you build muscles, but if it is at a certain time, you measure yourself in a week, and that's your deadline. And you see how you progress from there to there. And then every 3 months or every 4 months, you go back to these plans, you go back to these deadlines, you go back to the thing, and you tick off and you monitor how far the things that I've written down as my goals, what I said I'm going to do to achieve it, and the time frame that I've set for myself, how many of those things have I actually done? How many of those things can I now tick off my tick box to say that it's been achieved? And so that's a full view of your life. It's the elephant, it's the big part of your life that you want to see. But it's important to have the big things also written down, to see the end before you achieve it, to know where you are going. But to assist you further even into getting there is what I've also developed for myself, is it's a weekly plan. Okay, it's one step at a time. So on a Sunday night, I would take some time, and sometimes it does not a lot of time that's needed. Maybe it's just 30 minutes of your time that if you spare to make this investment in yourself, then it's going to set your week for the rest of the week. But on a Sunday afternoon, take 30 minutes and set, okay, you know you have this appointment on Monday, that appointment on Wednesday, this is what you have to do, this is what you have to complete, you still have to do that assignment, you still have to send out that application. If you can see your week in just 7 days, and then start planning for how you're going to get those things done, it becomes a practice ground for you to master the skill. Like I said, we become phenomenal when we master the basics. And this is basics, that where we can just put together a plan for ourselves and say, okay, this is my week, and we arrange our time. Okay, you are able to become more effective and more influential when you are managing your time and managing the things that you want to do. Okay, it says here, proper time management will assist you to achieve your goals. Okay, and it will help you to achieve your goals faster. Only because you are taking note of your time, okay, and you're not wasting time doing unnecessary things. How many of you here have, worked with a to-do list? Very good. For those of you who don't, how many of you actually at the end of the day feel like you've accomplished much? You haven't. I know for myself personally, if I don't do a to-do list, then I'm doing everything else that I'm not supposed to be doing, and at the end of the day, I have not been constructive with my time. But if I have a to-do list done, that I need to do this, I need to send that email, I need to do this report, I need to check that at the end of the day, because I know at the back of my mind I'm being accountable to the to-do list, and I have to check myself on how much of that I've done, that come the end of the day, I can at least tick 5 or 6 things at the end of the, on that list, and it makes me feel good, because then at least I know I have not wasted the day, and I've been constructive. But just to end, because I know my time must be up, I want to leave you with this quote that says, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. Let me say that again. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. So if you see the big things for your life, know that it's just not automatically going to happen. But it happens when you start. It happens when you start to put a plan together, when it starts to prioritize your life, when it starts to put action steps and things that's going to assist you to achieve those goals. And the more you begin to be structured like that, the more you will begin to have greater impact and really be a leader in the marketplace and wherever you are. It is said that a man who rules his life is better than one who rules a city. Which means that if you are wanting to see, or all you see for yourself is wanting to be a leader out there in the community, but you have no discipline and no commitment and no structure for your own life in terms of bringing your own life into wholeness and bringing your own life into order, that you're never going to be effective. But if you are someone who can rule your own life, that you can govern this life, that you can be disciplined and make your commitments and stick to it and put the plan together and do what it takes, make the sacrifices, count the costs and set yourself apart, then you are far better than one who is leading the city and the town. So I want to encourage you to let you know that your dreams are possible. All that it takes is a little planning. So I hope that what you've heard me say and these simple things like putting a plan together are things that are going to help you in the future to achieve your dreams. Okay, so don't give up, but know that the commitment that you make, and it's a commitment also to do things excellently, that even for yourself, for your life, that you value your life enough to make the effort to become who you want to be. Thank you.